It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too. Oh my God, I didn't realize it's been 10 years. Are you kidding?
Because I keep I've got a big hard drive full of interviews,
Yeah.
and I last saw you when you came in to co-host with me,
Yeah.
and that was like June 2014.
Wow. 2014. Oh my God, that is 10 years. Because I was like, I must have released Bad Boy or something.
Yeah. So
That would have been my third single, I think.
in that chat, you said that you're heading to Nashville to do some co-writes in about 8 weeks.
Oh my God.
So I'm
It's
guessing you never sort of came back.
no, I really like I think I went to Bermuda for a bit
Hmm.
because I was waiting for my visa and it was the only place that's Commonwealth so I could like work there and stuff. So I went there for like 8 months, I think, and then I was doing songwriting things in Nashville, and then I moved to LA after that.
Oh my God, so much
Yeah,
to talk about. Everything in between as well. Like there's been 10 years worth of history
I
for you
know.
and for me.
That's right.
We should go back right to the beginning. What was in your household growing up, like music wise? What were you listening to?
Actually, Mum was a bit of a Bon Jovi fan.
The
So Bon
Rockhead.
Jovi, yeah, rock. She liked Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi. I'm trying to think that. So I basically taught myself to sing on Bon Jovi music. um,
Wow.
yeah, so I was like, I remember singing along, going, "Oh, I can sing exactly the same notes," and because I hadn't had singing lessons, I didn't know what that meant, but I didn't know that meant I could sing or something. So yeah, so it was I guess I taught myself and then I was in choirs and magical groups at school and started doing musical theater, but I was doing a lot of tennis at the time. So I couldn't pursue both. That like they would like, well, rehearsals are these nights. And I was like, well, I have to do the tennis. So once I quit tennis, I could get back into the music, which was great, and sung
Mm.
in duos and bands and stuff.
You mentioned musical theatre before. Do you remember your first role in musical theatre?
Yes. So I had a singing teacher, right? So, and he said, just go audition for Sweet Charity. Just go for the experience of auditioning. So I
Hmm.
was like, okay, cool. So I did that and got a part. And I was like, oh shit. Like I was having dance lessons and stuff at the time. So that was lucky. But like I was doing heaps of dance. But yeah, I got a little part in it too. I was one of the Fandango girls, and that was doing that musical. That was the best experience ever. Your first musical is always a good one. Like I couldn't believe it. There were parties every night, and I was just so fun.
Is that when you caught I guess not so much musical bug, but you want to do this as a career, be a performer?
Well, I already definitely wanted to be a performer. So and I wanted to do it as a career, but it was like, especially in Melbourne, like what do you do? Where do you go? How do you become a musician?
Mm.
How do you get a band? How do you get a duo partner? How do you get a guitarist? So um musical theater seemed like an it's something you can audition for and you can turn up to, and there's rehearsals and it's all very structured, which is great. And I really still wanted to do the band work though, but yeah, it's hard to know how to get into bands if you're not surrounded by musicians.
So how did you, I guess, find your crew? Like, how did you find the right people to work with and be in their band and perform with them? What was that experience like for you?
Well, I had a friend, and her boyfriend played the guitar, and he was a bit of a musician, so he said that he would do some duo work with me. So I got us a gig at a cafe I was like working at, and so my first gig, learnt 30 songs, 30 covers, and he played the guitar, and like we brought our own sound, we rented the sound system, and so yeah, it was literally because someone knew someone who played guitar. And
Yeah.
then we rehearsed together, and that was the start of my performing, I'd say, because after that, I don't know how I met some of the other musicians I've worked with, but it's sort of like when you're out, you meet them, or when you go see other bands, and then you say, "Oh, if you ever need a singer, let me know." So it's just, I guess, it's becoming friends with people. and then having a really big repertoire of songs.
When did you discover you could write songs? Because a lot of people, okay, I can sing, but when did you first discover that I can actually put my words to into a song or no?
Yeah, it's interesting because again, no one teaches you this stuff.
No.
And you don't realize that when you're writing poetry, say if you have a breakup and you're writing poetry, or like even sentences that are deep and meaningful, that they can be used as lyrics, and that you are probably leaning that lyric away. I always heard music, I always heard melodies, and I always heard all the little parts in production naturally. But as far as lyrics, I didn't realize I was writing lyrics, but I've been doing that since I was like 14. And yeah, so I guess then it was a matter of, okay, so we're sitting down with the guitarist and going, let's write a song similar to a Sheryl Crow song,
Mm.
and try and write in that format. So follow the structure of the song, and then put the lyrics in a similar format, and then write our own melody. So that's kind of how I started with the actually putting a song together.
Was it hard to sort of, you've got all this poetry and these words on a piece of paper, but to formulate that into a song, who did you work with to sort of get the structure going as far as the songs go? You know what I mean?
Well, when I was first starting out, definitely it was just me and a guitarist, and we both really didn't know what we were doing. So, but we then went into a studio, recorded some demos. I think the songs are pretty cool, and so we did that under another name, and then we were, because we were doing so many cover gigs, we were throwing our originals in, and they were fitting in the set. So you're like, okay, these songs are working. But when I first properly worked with a good producer was someone saw me get up and sing with a band, then said, oh, they want to start a female rock duo, Led Zeppelin style, and wanted me to record 4 demos. And like one of the songs was Barracuda by Heart. So a real belter. So I had to learn that. We recorded it, sent it to the producer, and the producer liked it and said, okay, let's work on this. And so that was when I first was properly in a studio where they're doing multiple takes of vocals and all that kind of stuff. So that was moving into the next part of my career, I'd say, where I was actually becoming a proper professional musician.
Aside from all that, you studied law.
Yeah.
How did the law, I mean, you did musical theater, you were in bands, you were a singer, you were a songwriter. How did the whole law thing come into your mind as far as maybe I should do this as a career in the music on the side? What was your reckoning with the law thing?
Yeah, I had no intention of being a lawyer. I didn't want to be a lawyer. I was always trying to do something other than being academic. But it was always like, oh, it's a good backup. So then I thought, well, whilst I was at uni, that was when I was like really going hard I was doing, I don't know, 10 or 15 dance classes a week, singing lessons, musical theater, doing everything I could to sort of get into the musical world, and also doing, 5 to 7 gigs a week in duos and bands. So I was very gig ready. And then I thought, okay, if I'm going to, now I've finished my law degree, maybe I'll try and work in entertainment law. So I tried to get an article clerkship at one of the bigger entertainment law firms in Melbourne, because then I thought, oh, that will give me an understanding of music contracts and maybe some connections with labels, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I did start working for them. And unfortunately, my career took more of a money laundering and tax fraud route because of the clients there. So um, I didn't end up doing a lot of entertainment law. I did mostly money laundering and tax fraud, which is interesting, but it wasn't in my area that I really wanted to do.
So having that law background, obviously, and you touched on it just then with the whole contracts and because the music business, in fact, the entertainment business can be quite cutthroat and there's contracts, there's different conditions and things. So having that law background, did that help you in that regard? Because you were a criminal lawyer. Is that different to say being an entertainment lawyer? But are the fundamentals the same?
Yeah, I'd done a lot of contract work. So, and I'd also seen how people can get ripped off and all that kind of stuff, dodgy contracts, people, the way people get out of paying people when they owe them. I think all of that was very, very valuable. I don't let it go a day without being paid. You know, if the due date's there, I'm on it because I know that people just, the squeaky wheel's the one who gets paid. And as far as like helping me in the entertainment industry, I'd say it's been good because I haven't signed any dodgy management contracts. And I did get offered a few when I was in the UK performing over there. And I decided it was not very valuable for me to be signing them. And I was way too locked in. But I also think it can be a hindrance because you then, yes, you're not tied up by a contract, but you didn't let someone take a chance on you. So I have to be careful that I'm not overly careful with contracts and stuff and just go, you know what, I've got to take a risk with this person and sign. So yeah, I found that recently. I had to tell myself, stop being a lawyer and just sign the damn contract. If you get ripped off, you get ripped off. It's, you know, it's just scary sometimes.
You mentioned just before in the UK, there was some, I guess, dodgy contracts. What sort of stood out for you in those contracts that made them dodgy? What were their alarm bells ringing off in your head?
Well, I think looking at what they're putting in, which was not much money or anything. So you're like, okay, so what exactly am I getting out of it? I'm just signing a contract and they're going to manage me. What
To be an
context?
investment. Yeah.
Yeah, like what are they investing in it? Also, anything I'd released in the past was all tied up. They then got acts, they then basically owned. So that was no good. A bit like those, if you go on like if you go on You're the Voice, I was gonna say, if you go on The Voice, those contracts are really, really tight. And that's why I've never done one of those shows because they own your past music. They own it for like, I think, I don't know how many extra years, like 5, 10, whatever it is. So I think those were the things that worried me. But I think now being an independent artist, it's almost very important to make sure you have control over when you can release music and just being able to put music out. Because if you sign with a label and they say you can't release, you can't release. So, which happens to a lot of artists, their music gets shelved and they're saying, oh, not now. And that's really frustrating. So for me, if I decide I want to put a song out, I just put it out.
We just had this season of Australian Idols back in
Oh,
Australia.
right.
This was the
Uh-huh.
second season. Well, the second last year was the first season where it came back. This year was the second year. Rated really well. You know, the guy had a really good song and stuff. So you've obviously seen some of those contracts from these shows. What are the main things to look out for young artists with those contracts and going on these shows? What do they need to look out for as far as, you know, those dodgy contracts, those dodgy clauses, which you can maybe negotiate out or something like that?
So it's interesting because I've never gone on one of those shows because they really lock in the music side of things. But I just came off Big Brother and that contract I thought was way too tight as well. But there was you weren't allowed to negotiate the clauses. So like in an ideal world, I would have been crossing out a few clauses in there or negotiating them. They're like, well, if you want to be on the show, that's it. And I would say with Australian Idol and The Voice, I imagine it's the same. You can't really negotiate. So,
Mm.
but you know, a contract, the terms can't be completely unfair. If you went to court, the court would knock out the really unfair terms of the contract. But the reality is, you know what you're signing, and they're giving you a big opportunity. I think it is worth the risk, especially if you're younger and maybe don't have much of a music career. Then I think it's probably worth going on those shows because you've got nothing to be tied up at that stage anyway.
Let's just fast forward a bit because just mentioned Big Brother then. You're on Big Brother in the US last year.
Yeah.
I auditioned for Big Brother years ago. I mean, I'm talking, I think the second season was probably early. When did the first Big Brother come out in Australia? I
Oh
can't,
my God, I love that. I can't remember, but I
yeah,
did
but
watch it.
yeah, I auditioned for it. And I remember going to the Sydney My Music Bowl around this big cattle call or waiting in line for
Oh
ages.
wow, okay.
So this was years ago, and I didn't obviously get in, but you did. So what was the process like, I guess, auditioning for Big Brother?
Well, so Big Brother USA is rigorous. Like it is a really big operation over here. I you can only apply if you're a US citizen. So I'm a dual citizen now. And I was the first Australian on the US version in 25 seasons. So yeah, I was pretty pleased about that. Yeah, it's rigorous. It is multiple auditions and interviews, and it's all virtual now, which is cool. But yeah, casting after casting after casting after psych tests. I felt good about the process the whole way through. I thought I feel like I'm going to get on. But yeah, I know not everyone had that same experience, but I felt like it went well. And yeah, so it's rigorous over here. They've got like 7 million weekly viewers in America, and it rates quite highly. So
So you got into Big Brother, and you were there up until you were in the final three, is that right?
I was there till the last day. Yep,
Oh my God. How many days was it altogether?
100 days.
Oh my goodness. So I mean, I've watched nothing of your Big Brother performance. Of course, we can't say performances, but we didn't get it.
Showbiz.
Yeah, we didn't get it here in Australia. So
No, I know.
yeah, so I couldn't watch it. But I mean, going through the whole Big Brother situation with all these different personalities and ages and things. So I was reading some things online that you um, didn't really say how old you really were, and some of your background, you didn't really divulge that you were also a lawyer
Oh
and
yeah.
you as a
So
DJ.
yeah, because so American, just by way of background, American Big Brother is like Survivor. So it's the audience doesn't vote. It's the house nominates two people each week, and then the house votes to evict. So it is brutal in there, and it's alliances, and it can get nasty, that's for sure. So my plan after, because I've watched a lot of American seasons, my plan was to make sure I got along with everyone. Don't tell people I'm a lawyer. Don't tell people my age, because I figured the house would be like 21 to 27 years old, which it wasn't in the end. It was actually quite a broad range of ages. But yeah, so I definitely didn't tell them that I was a lawyer, because they were definitely trying to evict me, because they don't want smart people in the house or anyone who knows maybe how to do strategy. So I just played the whole Aussie laid back. I'm friends with everyone. I'm not very good at sport, even though I've like used to be an ex-professional tennis player. So I was like, oh, I'm just average at everything. I threw all the comps, because if you win them, then people see you as a threat. So up until about the halfway mark. And yeah, so you had to be really strategic, and no one, even the audience, really were like, oh, she's not playing the game. That was my game, to do exactly that, to be really careful how I worked relationships and stick to a solid group and then go through the end. And I was never nominated in 100 days. So
Wow.
the only person in Big Brother history, well, US Big Brother history, to go
That's
100 days without being.
crazy.
Yeah.
And coming out of the Big Brother house, obviously you obviously were a DJ when you went in, and coming out, I guess people knew you, you had that profile. So did things explode after that? What was the reaction after that
Yeah.
experience?
Well, it's crazy, because you've been in the house for 100 days with no phones, no internet. You really have you're on TV 24/7 live streaming, three produced shows a week, but you come out. So a lot of people have seen you and a lot of people recognize me, but I still have no concept that I was on TV. It's really strange, because I haven't watched the show. I'm not going to watch the show, I don't think. It's like, because it has been, I've heard nasty things. I just got no interest in watching people being nasty to me. So um,
Yeah.
I don't need to torture myself. Maybe in a few years I'll watch it. But yeah, so I have that weird thing where I don't feel like I was on television, but I definitely know that I get spotted everywhere. People message me and say, oh, I saw you at the supermarket, or I saw you at the airport, or they come up, like even today at the gym, someone said, oh, you were my favorite on Big Brother. So I was like, oh, wow. So you do get recognized everywhere. And I think it's a different crowd to what I normally DJ to, because I'm house, melodic house and techno music. That's where my music's gone now. So it's some people who watch Big Brother are into that, but really ultimately it has expanded my fan base. But yeah, it's definitely been interesting anyway. And it's been good for gigs. I had people come, someone came to watch me play at UCLA, a group of people came to watch me literally because they'd seen me on Big Brother and they wanted a photo. So
Oh,
yeah, so that was funny.
talking about post Big Brother, you also went to the Grammys this year, is that right?
I did. Yes. Oh my God, that was incredible. And that had nothing to do with Big Brother. And so people on the internet were mad. Oh, she's just getting a music career now because she's been on Big Brother. And I was like, mate, I've been doing music for like 25 years. Just ask Leo.
Yeah. Why were you there though?
So a friend of mine was nominated. The comedy group Tripod, they'd done the music for a game. And yeah, so they were nominated. My friend Michelle Van Ray took me, and I was, yeah, it was awesome. So she flew over from Australia to go to the Grammys, and yeah, it was my first time at the Grammys. But I was like, this is as big as it gets when you're a musician.
So you did the whole red carpet and stuff as well?
Yeah, and also there was also the G'day USA ball earlier in the week, so we went to that as well, which had the red carpet thing and well a blue carpet there. But yeah, it was it's a lot of fun. But geez, it rained on Grammy Day. It rained
Yeah.
like it doesn't normally rain in LA, and it was just torrential rain. So it was everyone was drenched. Their makeup was wrecked. It was pretty funny.
So who did you meet, see, come close to, brush past?
Uh I can't I don't know. I can't remember to be honest. So it all feels like a blur, but there's a lot of seeing famous people in LA anyway. So
Hmm.
uh you know who was at the G'day USA Bowl actually? Paul Hogan.
Yes, yes, he was.
So
Yeah.
I was excited by that because I'm over here and I don't see any Aussies really. So I'm like, oh my God, Paul Hogan.
Yeah. He's
Um,
a legend.
yeah, yeah. So they're Dom Dollar as well. I don't know. There's quite a few musicians actually, but yeah, I can't even remember to be honest. It happens all the time here in LA.
So since moving to the States in 2015, I
Yeah,
guess
2016. Yeah.
2016, what's been just going back a bit as well. So what's been, I guess, the ride since then? So you went over there in Australia and the UK, you released three singles, Love Bomb.
You dropped out of that bomb. You had to tell me that you care. You naughty little plan, to get me in your bed. Well, all up on me. You dropped that L-U-V. Well, all up on me. You dropped that L-U-V. Well, all up on me. You dropped that L-U-V. Well, all up on me. You dropped that L-U-V. Drop a big go bad little bum on me. Drop a big go bad little bum on me. Drop a big go bad little bum on me. Drop a big go bad little bum on me. Drop a big go bad little bum on me. Drop a big go bad little bum on me. Drop a big go bad little bum on me.
And
Miss You, Hate You.
Miss You Hate You.
Yeah.
And they were quite poppy. And you had Seventh Heaven remixes done of some of the tracks.
Yeah.
And it was quite catchy pop. What made you decide to go into a more sort of hard techno house DJ? I mean, how did you get into DJing, first of all?
So when I was obviously there were a few other tracks before that I didn't really release publicly, but they were super pop, like they were on demos and stuff. Really, really bubblegum pop. Then when I got the remixes done in the UK, like by Seventh Heaven, which charted in the UK. I was like, shit, like all the club songs were doing really well, the club versions of the pop in the UK. So I was like, how do I, because I was doing all these club performances, getting up and singing, but how do I do it where I'm like almost my own band? So I was like, okay, if I DJ and then I can sing live vocals, that was my plan. So right back in the UK, I started DJing, taught myself, was spending like 8 hours a day on decks practicing, and then started to incorporate that as a live performance tool. So, but I've always been a raver. So the house music, house and techno comes very naturally to me. And so now all the tracks I write are just dance tracks. So, and that's the path I've gone down, which I really enjoy. So, yeah, I love a dirty track. I love being a DJ because I can really rev up the crowd. And because I'm used to singing in bands, I'm used to being on the mic. So that helps as well. But I've got EDC coming up that I'll be performing at, which I'm so excited. Like 400,000 people in Vegas. I will probably be singing live vocals there. So I'll be DJing an hour set with live vocals.
Because you had some success on the US Dance Club Songs chart as well with Busted.
Yeah, so that was great because all my success had been in the UK because the UK loves pop. And the US, I hadn't really properly pushed the music out here, but it was featured on the TV show SWAT, CBS show. And it was like for a whole minute and a half, and I'm DJing in the scene, and there's a club shooting, and it's my song playing. And so because of that, everyone was Shazamming it. So I still get so many comments from ever around the world as that show goes around the world. And yeah, then the song charted. The Cube guys did a remix of that, and it got to 21 in the Billboard chart. So I was like really wrapped with that.
Your song was in the show, but you were performing in a club on the show as well. So it was a sync deal, but to the next level.
Oh, like I have to thank the director for that because he was like, let's really feature you in this. And I was like, okay. He's just a really nice guy. And he said, oh, we're going to do it like the spinning record at the start, and we'll have your name on it and we'll zoom out.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy.
Monday, Tuesday, happy days. What was that? Happy Days? Was that the TV show? Yeah, like that with the zooming out at the start and then having me DJing the scene, then the gunman comes in and I've got to dive to the ground. But like my vocals are going for, I think, a minute of that song, which is, that really helped financially, I have to say.
So you still get a little check from that show even today?
Yeah, because it keeps looping around the world, and I still get people saying, just found this. I'm here from SWAT. That's what they all say on YouTube. You'll see a few people from Big Brother on there going, I'm here. Oh, this is actually a good song. Because they don't think no one believes anything in that house. So I'm like, whatever, guys, I've been in music forever. But
I love how you sort of like diversify, because I remember when we last chatted back in 2014, a long time ago, you were heading to Nashville to do some songwriting,
Yeah.
and you still continue to do songwriting. Have you written songs for other artists, perhaps? Have you thought about doing that? Or
So
have you done?
actually, Busted, we wrote in Nashville, but we pitched it to I think Carrie Underwood or someone of that nature was had that song on hold. So I was like, oh my God, this is massive, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, they didn't use the song and I released it. So I guess we've put the songs out into the world and we've written a lot of K-pop and J-pop songs which get pitched through a publisher in the UK. And those go to other artists. But yeah, so mostly I'm trying to write. At the moment, I'm just writing for myself. So I wrote a song the other day with the Perry twins, and we'll be releasing that in maybe like 6 weeks or something. It's a bit of a different change to the kind of music I've done before. It's a lot heavier, so we'll see. Less singing, more. Yeah, it's definitely got my vocal on it though.
And who have you been working with, I guess, behind the scenes, like co-writing, production?
So in the Never Surrender, which is my track out
Yeah.
that came out recently, I wrote that in Sweden. It was a co-write, and so that was we'd written a few songs in Sweden. I've got a whole back catalogue of songs that are sitting there that I need to produce up. So yeah, it's about finding some little opportunities have arisen because of Big Brother, to be honest. So I mean, who would have thought? But yeah, so the I'm doing a few co-writes and I'm keen to work again with the Perry twins because we had a really great vibe in the studio and that's half the battle is just feeling comfortable, making jokes, bit of fun. Yeah, so and they're good producers. So yeah, hopefully we'll see how this first track goes though.
You mentioned before some things have come out of Big Brother, some really big moments for you. And you played at Dodgers Stadium.
Yeah.
Is that
That was
right?
that well, Dodger Stadium I played at the last 5 years. So before Big Brother. And but I do the LA Pride there. And I do the DJ mix to the fireworks and I also play the pre-game. So it's pretty cool. But I have DJed on the pitch down there.
Wow.
Yeah, as well. So that's pretty cool.
And you opened for Paul Oakenfold.
Yeah, that was this
What
is
was
living
that
in
like?
LA. Seriously, this is living in LA. Just
Oh my
opportunities
God.
just happen because you're here.
Because he's
Um,
legendary. He's this
oh,
massive
he
DJ.
is. I was like pretty nervous for that one, but he was so awesome. He watched the end of like the I guess the second half of my set, and then when I came off, he then comes on. Obviously, he's mixing in. Then he pulls the music right down, and then he turns and looks at me, and he looks and he points at me, and he goes like this, and he makes the whole crowd clap for me and say, "Great job, Bowie Jane." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And I couldn't even film it because I was so excited. But yeah, Paul Oakenfold, he's really funny guy, a legend. He lives here in Hollywood Hills. So
So not only did he watch part of your set, he also got the crowd to clap for you
oh
during
yeah.
his set.
Yeah,
That's
and then he's like, "Oh,
crazy.
send me a mix, like so I can send it to my agent and stuff." So and he, posted on his page. So he did try and help me a bit, which is really nice.
So you mentioned your new single, which is called Never Surrender. You've got the lyric video here on YouTube as well.
But I'll never surrender. I'm not gonna let them win. No, I won't let them keep me down. I'll never surrender.
Are you working on a music video?
So I'm not sure if there may be a full video in the works, but I've done some short little reels and stuff for TikTok. I worked with a guy to create them, so they're really cool. They're like short, staticky kind of videos, and it's I think the industry's changed a bit with music videos, spending all that money on a music video, especially when you're independent like me, or doing the short reels and the TikToks to help the track gain traction like that. So rather than a full video, because people just don't have the patience to watch full video these days.
It's changed so much, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, TikTok is where it's at. You know, there's so much stuff breaking on TikTok, things getting sped up and remixed,
Yeah.
and
And old songs and like songs that were like even better on the dance floor. My God, obviously that was in a TV show or was it a movie? I haven't seen it,
stop
but
burn. Yeah,
yeah, right. And I mean, it's not even a remix. It's literally the original. And it
yeah,
sounds not dated, which is amazing.
yeah. I mean, TikTok has really changed the game. I mean, I remember growing up, and you probably remember this as well, but when you were growing up in the 80s, 90s and stuff, songs were a lot longer for one.
Yeah.
Now they're so short.
Seriously.
Crazy, you know, and
Even when I got Never Surrender Back from the producer, it's 2.5 minutes. And, you know, back when I was releasing, say when I was touring the UK, it was definitely 3.5 minutes.
mm,
So now the extended dance track is 3.5. That used to be 7.
that's cool. We're showing our age here.
I know. Well, I mean, a lot of the DJs talk about there's a real issue with, so when you release, if you put out just one short version, that will get more plays. So that's good. If you put out a few different versions of the same song, you're splitting up the streams amongst them all. So you're basically damaging your own release. So I was in a real dilemma. Do I release the original, the club, and the extended club? In the end, I decided, yes, I'm splitting the streams against all three, but I'm just going to have to do it because I need the extended to go to Beatport. And that in the club version, people will listen to on Spotify, and the original people might listen to on Spotify. So I'm sort of stuck. Like that might be more TikTok. So yeah, it's just the DJs are in a bit of a dilemma as to people complain, oh, music's not long enough now. And they're like, well, what do you want us to do? No one listens to the whole mix. So
Yeah, it's totally changed everything, the whole TikTok stuff. I mean, doing my podcast and doing my YouTube stuff, it's just really, you know, and people have got such a short attention span, which is
yeah.
really quite disturbing because, yeah,
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think I've become like that as well. But
Mm,
actually, it's, you know what, Reels and TikTok is really good for discovering podcasts. So I've found that I've seen an excerpt of an interview and I'm like, then I go and watch it on YouTube, which I've never watched podcasts before. But now I'm like with my podcast, Babes Behind the Beats, we now do video for that very reason. Just
mm.
so we've got Reels, TikToks, and people then go watch it on YouTube.
I was going to mention that because you are also on radio. You do your own, I guess, radio show. Tell us
Yeah.
about your radio show.
Well, we started this. Jess Bowen
In
is like
COVID?
a top. Yeah, we started at the start of COVID, like within the first month. But like, what are we gonna do? We've got no gigs, like no music gigs. She's a touring drummer. She was on Count Me In documentary, and she's really well known. And so we're like, oh, let's just for fun, let's like drink and we'll party and we'll just chat to each other. And we'll interview our friends who are musicians, and then it actually got legs. So we're like, oh, got picked up by a radio station, Adobe Radio. And then we're like, oh gosh, this is a proper thing. So we've done it weekly. We're in nearly our 5th year. That's crazy.
Wow.
So it's like 4.5 years or something. Good. No, it's 4th. We've completed 4 years. We're now in our 5th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another thing, Jibo, you're doing, I mean, singer, songwriter, DJ, podcaster, radio, you know, dance background, lawyer, tennis.
Well, I think if you're a music nerd, is Jess described us as music nerds, and I was like, yeah, you're right, we are, because I really love chatting to other artists, or we interview like people behind the scenes, like managers, sound engineers, lighting, all the tour managers, all the people, as well as artists, and I love hearing how people got their break, because all these good people, you think, oh, they've had an easy ride. No, they freaking hustled. Like as in sneaking their way on stage and playing a set, that kind of hustle. So it's pretty interesting to hear people's stories.
Yeah, and everyone has a story, and to go back and work out how they started and I guess their journey. We had that word, but journey and going through the whole industry is because everyone is different and everyone's got a different story to tell.
Yeah,
And when people listen to those stories, they think, oh my God, if they can do that, I can do
exactly.
that. It's
And it's
very
literally
inspiring.
whoever stays in the game for long enough tends to be the story. Like, yes, there's going to be the odd child star, but generally that's not how it works. It's people who are still doing it and still making all those connections, and people who, like, from people you knew 10 years ago. Like, I'm getting some gigs from people I knew 10 years ago, or even like doing this interview. This is because we've both been in the industry for a long time. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Isn't it? It's really interesting.
It's crazy. I've been watching you from afar for a long time. And, when you started DJing and when you're releasing music and even living in LA and sort of
Yeah.
doing your thing, I'm like, I'm so proud of you. You've done so well, and you just keep going and you've kept diversifying and you're trying different things. And with the new single out, Never Surrender, what is coming up, I guess, for the rest of the year and beyond for Bowie Jane?
Well, there's a few Pride festivals in the works, which the deal hasn't been sealed yet, but there's some really big Pride festivals, so I'm super excited about that. I can't wait. And then also EDC, I'm really excited about that. And then music wise, once we tidy up this track with the Perry Twins, that'll be coming out next. So it's just going to be trying to throw out as much music as I can this year and really, really focus on that side of things, as well as gigging.
So you get gigs all over the country or just mainly LA?
All over the country. Yeah, I mean, that's the weird
Wow.
thing about America. There's just, there's so many people here. I think, is it 250 million? I don't
I,
exactly know, but something like that. And that's, you think with Australia being 27 million, it probably is now, I don't know how much. It's just a bigger market. So every town you go to, there's more people. So it's a lot easier to do multiple cities and all over the country.
when are you coming back down to Australia to see us?
Oh, I think January actually. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm going to speak to my agent then, see if we can line up a few gigs as well. But yeah, I've got some gigs in Thailand, and then I'll come down to Australia, visit the family, and yeah, and then back to America.
Because your family and your brother still lives here in Melbourne, right? So
Yeah.
how often do you get back to Australia these days?
Well, before COVID, it was like 2 or 3 times a year. I'd just
Like
come back for a
often?
week or two. And now, and then COVID happened. So it was almost 3 years without Australia. And then now it's probably once a year, I think. And then
Okay.
I meet my parents somewhere, or like they were all just over in America, my whole family. So I spent a bit of time with them, which was great.
And I guess the UK, because obviously you released Love Bomb years ago in the UK and your single was over there. Is there much connection still there in the UK? Do you sort of want to do more, I guess, gigs in the UK?
Yeah, it's funny actually, because I've released Never Surrender in the UK, and I'm seeing the feedback from is actually really strong there. So I'm pretty excited to see if that eventually charts there. It could be, we'll see what happens, but I'm getting a stronger feedback from that track than I am from any of my other releases. So, which means I really should get back and gig there and do a radio tour and all that kind of stuff. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's trying not to, I shouldn't be trying to hit every market at once, but I got to go where the interest is as well. So I would love to tour the UK again. I just freaking love the UK.
Aside from work and music and DJing, how's life in LA? Was it tough settling in? I mean, how's life now? Do you have someone special in your life? What's happening?
Well, I'm single, but Yeah, it's been really interesting. You don't realize how hard things are until you've got through it, and then you go, oh, like even seeing brands, like there's a billboard I was walking past today and it says Ulta Beauty. And I was like, I didn't even know what Ulta Beauty was. All those little things. And in my head today, I went, I know what that is now. And it was just, it felt good because I knew like there's little things like that all the time. All the brands are different, the shops are different, the language is remarkably different. And, but ultimately, LA is very, very friendly. I've found this a really easy place to sort of get to know people, and people are very helpful with their contacts, which is unusual. You wouldn't think so in this town, but if they know you're actually living here, people try and help you. If you're just coming in and out, they don't bother helping you. But yeah, it's
That's
been a very
amazing.
welcoming town. You wouldn't think so, but it's very
Yeah.
welcoming.
The new single's out, Never Surrender. Make sure everyone goes and streams it, adds it to their playlist, and check out all the music on your favorite streaming service. Mentioning streaming just finally, I mean, that's also changed the game as well because I am that old where my first record I ever bought was Fame by Irene Cara in 1980
Yeah.
on 45-inch record.
Yeah.
And growing up, I used to buy like vinyl and 7-inch vinyl and 12-inch mixes and albums, and then cassettes came in, and then CDs, and then it was iTunes, now it's streaming. I've been through it all, and I'm just like, oh my God. And now vinyl's coming back, and cassettes are
Oh
coming
my
back.
God.
Everything is coming back round in circles. It's really weird, and I haven't embraced the whole vinyl thing again because I spent years doing that in the 80s.
Yeah.
But I guess as an artist, how has that changed the game for you as far as making money from music? Because for every Taylor Swift or Ed Sheeran, there is, it's so difficult to make any money from music these days.
Oh
Unless,
yeah.
I mean, even not branching out and doing, wine or like some other
Oh,
Aussie
that's right.
pop princesses.
Or having a YouTube videos where you can make money off that. Like there is no money in the music streaming, that's for sure. But like the money's in the gigs. So if you can then start charging a bit more if you've got a hit. And yeah, there's no money in streaming whatsoever. But if your money can get on an ad or a TV show, that there's obviously some money in that. So I think you just got to, as an artist, you've just got to change your mentality with it, which really it happened a while ago where it went to streaming. You've got to go, that's my business card. And I'm like, gigging is the part I love the most. I only do everything so I can do a big gig. So the rest I could probably live without. It's being on stage that I like. So
Yeah.
that connection with the crowd. Yeah. So but yeah, there's no money in streaming, that's for sure.
So you get
Actually, speaking of first, you said your first album or whatever.
what was
My
yours?
first, Kate Sobrano, Bedroom Eyes on cassette.
Oh my God.
Can you
I've
believe that?
met Kate a few times, so I'm gonna let you know that.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's available on streaming, but it wasn't available on streaming up to like in COVID, it wasn't available. And a lot of people complained about it. It was some weird restriction with her label. So I
Yes,
don't know
I
what
think
happened
that's
about
been
that.
sorted out now, I believe.
Oh,
I'm not sure,
because
but
it's crazy.
yeah, there's so many songs from especially probably from the early 2000s to like
Yeah.
mid 2000s. There's a lot missing. Um,
Yeah.
like for example, Kylie Minogue is an Australian icon. When you go into streaming here, her first single that you see is Kids with Robbie Williams.
Oh, you're joking.
No, because
Wow.
they haven't put all the 80s and 90s singles on streaming, but those songs and some of those mixes are on various greatest hits and compilations and stuff. So they are on
Right.
streaming, but they're not under the singles banner. They're not listed like Locomotion, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Uh, It's real, and her streaming here is an absolute shambles. There's so much missing. It's just
Oh my God, that's terrible.
it's
Actually, one of the festivals I'm doing, if it confirms, she's won the headlines. Just letting you know.
I think I know the one that you're talking. Is it in June?
Yeah. But we'll see if I'm actually I don't want to say yet in case I
Fingers
so don't
crossed.
say.
Two Melbourne girls on the gig together, on the
Yes. Oh
together.
my God. And I think she's from like Camberwell or something, isn't she?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's funny.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's been so great to chat with you again. It's yeah, I'm super proud of you. You're killing it in LA. New singles out, music on the way. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been so good to chat with you. My gosh, talk about it's been a while, but I bloody love it.
We're going through my list here. Our first interview that we did, I remember you came in, I was doing breakfast one morning with Josh,
Yeah, yeah.
and you came in, that was February 2013.
Because is that when I had a whole heap of press?
That was just beforehand.
Oh, and
And
then it
then,
broke. Yeah.
yeah, because we played Love Bomb for the first time on radio.
Right. Okay,
Yes,
so yeah, you guys, I'd already been in to see you, and then maybe for the
May.
next single, then 3AW interviewed me and it blew up.
Yeah, so you came back again in May 2013. And by that
Right.
stage, you've been on the project and the Today Show and everywhere.
Yeah.
Your Less Miss You Hate You. And then you came back again in November 2013 and you performed Bad Boy with
With
Jason
yeah, my
in the
gosh.
studio.
That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, I had blonde hair then, everyone.
And we're talking about the video for Bad Boy, and your dad was the bunny in the video.
That's right. Wow, you are good. Yes, that's right. Not many
I've
people
got
know
it.
that Dad was the bunny.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bad boy, you told a lie. Bad boy, caught you out. And there ain't no doubt. Bad boy, you naughty thing. When you had that fling. Bad boy, I threw you out. And there ain't no doubt. You're a naughty, naughty, naughty boy. Naughty boy, you're a naughty, naughty, naughty boy. You're a naughty, 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 naughty boy.
Finally, your old tracks are not on streaming. Did
Yeah,
you
so
put them back?
I pulled them down because before I was releasing Busted, I think. I was thinking they were too pop for the angle I was going with my DJ stuff, and it wouldn't. When people look up my name, it just isn't going to make sense. They're going to get she
Right.
DJs melodic house and techno, and there's Love Bomb up there, like
Yeah.
So I took those down, but I'm actually going to put back. I think Miss You Hate You, the original, because it sounds. I listened to it the other day, and I was like, this sounds current. What the hell? It's like we're ahead of our time. It's like Eurodance style, and I think it would still work. So I won't do a full release or anything. I'll just literally put it back on streaming. And the other one is there's a couple of dance remixes of Bad Boy which have minimal vocal in it, but I think they still match my sound. So yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, my God. That is hilarious. You know, not many people, well, actually a lot of people in the UK, but that is hilarious. I made
and
that cover, you know. I designed that. Oh, yeah. Look at me, my blonde hair.
I don't have Miss You Hate You on CD, but I've got these two. But
Wow.
yeah, even today, I mean, I was listening to the CDs the other day, and the Seventh Heaven remix of Love Bomb is just fantastic. So
Yeah.
you at least get the club mix on there.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they match my sound enough. And then if I put a couple of harder tracks in there, it's not going to sound too pop. So I just got to be careful because that's not the music I'm playing. People will be like, we're not booking her.
But as we said before, we all have a history. You all have a sort of, it's all a big journey along the way.
Oh yeah, a lot of these DJs have come from rock bands. So You hear
Yeah.
a lot of their stories like punk rock, emo, whatever. But yeah,
Thank you so much for doing this.
cool.
All
Well,
right,
thanks so
love.
much. It was fun talking to you.
You too, and good
And
luck.
say
And
hi to your fiance.
I will. He's not home at the moment, but I will definitely do that.
Okay.
All right, love.
Okay, bye.
See ya.